Hey everybody, this is episode 8 of Tandem Podcast. So this episode is going to be a lot different than the previous ones. Admittedly, after making the last one, like during that process, I kind of started to get burnt out on it. I felt like topics were repeating themselves. I felt like I was asking the same questions and getting the same answers. I'm still going to be doing episodes similar to the older ones because I feel like there's a lot of people out there that are worth interviewing in that format, but I want to experiment and just try new things with this podcast. So something I really liked that I was actually inspired by John Knutson. He used to do a blog, and he did I know he did at least one post, maybe it was a series, but I believe it was called like Trick by Trick or something like that. And what he did is he went through every single clip in his video part, and he explained like if there was a story behind that trick or just something about it to elaborate on it, because when we make these videos, they just get so condensed that I feel like a lot of times all the factors that will sort of amplify the meaning of the clip are lost just by editing in a quick traditional style, and those moments and stories are just lost. And I mean, the only people that really know about them are the people that are there. And even then, I mean, over the years, people just forget stuff. So I thought that was a really good way. I saw some other sort of similar stuff. The skateboarder Tim O'Connor did a commentary on the Habitat Skateboards video Mosaic. And I also like that idea, but one of the major flaws is that the video was edited normally, like really quick, like 3-second clips, and he couldn't really elaborate on anything. It just basically turned into him just shouting out the locations that stuff was filmed, or he would elaborate on something for a minute, and that's like already a third of somebody's part that's gone. So I wanted to sort of blend these two inspirations into something that we could pause and actually talk about stuff. And I always think of video parts as what makes a truly great video part is when I'm on scooter trips and it's just a bunch of guys sitting around in a room in front of a TV that has access to YouTube, and it's like, what video parts do those people search in those times? It's like this huge group consensus, like people don't even talk about it. They all like arrive at the same conclusion. And one of those video parts that is always brought up and watched is Conor Davidson's Sovereign Arbor part. And in my opinion, this part is sort of, at the time it came out, it sort of was like the peak of the past scooter riding. So it drew influences from all the foundations of scootering over the years up until that point. And it was done in a way that, whether it was the trick selection or just the way it was edited, that it also became just timeless. Like we go back to this all the time and watch it, and it's still just like, it somehow is not dated. Like the tricks aren't dated, the clothes aren't dated, the dimensions of the scooter and the style, like nothing is dated. I would say it's the most well-held video part in terms of time and trends and style and stuff like that. I think it's amazing. I mean, I think I could watch this part again in 5 years and it would still be exactly the same, and I'd have the same reaction, which since scootering moves so quick and is so based on these trends and stuff like that, it's almost impossible to make something like this. I don't know whether Conor is aware of that or not, but that's what we're going to get into. So we put out that part, and that's pretty much all we've heard from Conor since then. I mean, it came out in 2014, so it came out 3 years ago, and I believe he filmed for 2 or 3 years to put it out, and we were just left with this part that sort of just completely shocked the scootering community, and then that was it. Conor was just kind of, he rode and stuff like that, but that was sort of the last thing he did. So I was always interested in like what he felt about that and like what the reason was. Just basically some form of explanation. So I thought this would be a really good opportunity to investigate that. And I also feel like this part, when I see like young 14-year-old scooter kids at the skate park and they just don't know the history of scootering or don't really know any video parts to look up, this is probably the number one part I tell them to look up, because I think it is the most likely to influence them. So this episode is going to be mainly benefited by viewing it on YouTube. I mean, it'll be totally fine if you are listening to it audio only on SoundCloud, but I'm going to do like freeze frames or something of a similar nature so you can actually see what we're talking about. So if you're listening to this on SoundCloud, you probably want to go over to YouTube and just so you can follow along visually. But here it is, Conor Davidson on his Sovereign Arbor part. Did you have any foresight for this part as a whole when you started filming for it? Did you have like a vision?
I don't know. Probably when making it, I was thinking like this would be like a video part for a company or something. I feel like this is when I like really started taking filming seriously. It spanned a long period of time. So I was just getting footage. I thought maybe it would be for a video part. Like everyone I was filming with, for the most part, was filming for a company, and I was just like, I'll do the same thing. Like that, like that makes sense, right? But it didn't really end up being that. It ended up just being like every other one of my videos where I just like edit it myself and put it on YouTube.
In a way, it's kind of like I talked about with Tyler, how we all filmed each other and hung out together, but everything went to separate things. Like all the footage sort of went away in like different directions, and then it turned into different things.
Yeah, I feel like people didn't really know where it was going. Like you were like filming, for a proto video that wasn't even scheduled yet. It was just like, we're collecting footage. It's ours, like you film this thing, send me those clips, and like I'll have it on my computer, ready to send to whoever edits this video that I think will happen in the future.
I mean, in a way too, I don't feel like it could have been your part. I don't feel like it could have been the way it was for a company, you know what I mean? That probably would have changed it a lot. Because like you probably wouldn't have edited it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I was thinking about that recently. I've definitely been in a few videos that other people have edited, but they're not actual videos. It's like a day video here and there. Basically, like I've pretty much edited all of my footage, so I can't even imagine what it would have been like if other people edited it.
That's actually kind of abnormal too. I feel like a lot of people, they don't edit their own footage.
I know, it's an anomaly, I guess. I mean, I think it's also just the fact that like I made a lot of videos, like, not of my riding, but of other people. Part of it is that like, I was the one with the camera a lot of the times. And then part of it also, I guess, is just like control.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was going to ask next. Like if it was about the sort of control, like doing exactly what you wanted to do, and you could, since it wasn't for a company.
Again, like the filming of this stemmed or spanned like a pretty long period of time, and there are definitely times during it where I would have been like super excited to have another person just take it and edit it. When I released it, I was just like, I'm just going to do this. I feel like it happens a lot in scootering. You're like collecting all this footage, and it's like, okay, at a certain point, it's like feeling stale, or I just got to like get rid of this thing, and you do it.
Yeah, I think it's kind of interesting because back then it was sort of like the company videos were the highest form of what you could do with filming. It seemed like they were the standard, but I think now, like a few years after, the sort of like indie scooter video scene is huge now. Like people, it's kind of back in like the scooter resource days. Like people are making their own videos and they're doing whatever they want, and it's not for companies or anything, and there's like no rules.
That's sweet. People are having fun again.
Yeah, I feel like for a while that was kind of lost because it was just so based on progression and like just these like epic standard and trend setting videos.
It's like a double-edged sword because on one hand, I think a lot of that came from like people were trying to like progress scootering, push scootering, make it more legit. They wanted to get sponsored and like be a professional and like I don't know, set precedents. Like this is what scooter videos are. Like they wanted to make them really good, and which is awesome. I think a lot comes from just like that like push to progress. This like sort of lax like I don't really care, whatever. I'll just like do whatever. Like it's good and bad. Like I like it. I think that's like it's just like scootering for scootering's sake, and that's what I love more than anything. But also like good videos are cool, So yeah, I'm down with both. I'm down whatever makes you happy. But I love when people spend a lot of time on videos, and it's also just sick to see people have fun and kill it.
Were you conscious that your trick selection would not become outdated? Because when I watched this part, I feel like when I watch parts around the time when this came out in 2014, it's like it's pretty much the only one that I'm not like, man, like that scooter's really small, like that person's riding really slow, or like those tricks are just like these really technical tricks that have been surpassed. You know what I mean? Were you aware of any of those things?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Obviously, you can't predict like what is going to like go out of fashion or not. You can try your hardest, but you'll never know. I mean, yeah, I think this part I definitely like cut everything that I felt was bad in any way. Like I don't know. I had probably like like 11 minutes of like actual clips and just like cut a ton of it. And I think a lot of that came from just like editing like the tilt video and stuff, where it's like I would see these clips and I just like gain like such scrutiny in editing these videos for clips. It's like if the filming is bad enough or you land slow enough and it's sketchy enough and you put it in a video, you'd regret it like every time. Like there cannot be like if it's bad, like if you like hold on to the clip too hard, it's like, oh, well, I gotta like put this trick in. It's like you can't not put that in. It's like that's a trick. Like I have to put this trick in, but it's like sloppy. It's like you regret it every time. Like that sort of feeling for like a trick in a clip is very like temporary. It's like an emotional like response, but you get over that. It's like, oh, I didn't really care about this trick. It's like a year later and everyone's doing that trick. So it's like that doesn't matter. It's like the clip has got to be good as a clip. It can't matter like the trick you're doing or whatever. It's like the whole thing's got to be good. And I've just encountered so many instances where I put the clip in because it's like, oh, I gotta put his trademark trick in. It's his trademark trick, and it's like, nah, I regret it because he landed too slow.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, you have to become completely emotionally unattached from your clips. just because it was hard for you to do or it took you a long time, like it does not matter
Yeah,
at
you
all.
nailed
Like
it.
nobody cares. Nobody was there.
Yeah, they don't know the challenge. They don't care. Yeah.
How long did it take you to choose the song, and what was the process with that? Did you have like other ones in line?
Definitely took forever. I mean, definitely every time I hear a good song, or like back then, like every time I heard like a certain song, I would be like, was this good for a video? You know, like for like the tilt video and stuff, I had like lists of songs that I thought I could use. I think this one happened more like organically. This band, Panther Ray, my roommate, Mike Belcito, who maybe some scooter folks know from visiting my house in Eugene, he grew up with them and played in a band with some of them. So, you know, not only was like the song cool, but you know, like I wasn't like worried about rights or anything. Like this can just like stay on YouTube forever, and it was like a good connection, and which is pretty. I don't know, not typical with songs. I feel like it always like takes so long, and it's just like such a painstaking process. But this one just kind of fell in my lap.
It's an incredibly memorable song. Like it's pretty hard to remember songs from scooter videos. But yeah, I definitely remember that one, and I thought it was interesting too how, well, I guess you didn't find them from searching online, like you knew about them, but I remember you linked to their Bandcamp when it came out, and I don't, nobody I knew was even aware of Bandcamp back then. So it was like it's just like this new thing. Like what is this? Like all these like underground artists. I don't even, do you know when Bandcamp started?
I don't, but it's the shit.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much ever since then, I would always be on it just like perusing. There's so much stuff on there.
Yeah, it's definitely like the hub of indie music.
Since you filmed this part over 3 years of your life, is that correct?
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I should have looked into that, but that sounds about right. Yeah.
So like these 3 years, I mean, not only your life, but really anybody's life. It was like some of the years that are really pivotal in someone's life. It's like you're out of high school, you're in college, and then, but it was like the high school to college thing, and just figuring out your life and stuff like that. Like what was going on in your life in these 3 years?
To be honest, I feel like it was less figuring out then. Like I feel like I knew more what I was doing back then than I don't know or knew like right after college. I feel like right after college was like a weird time, like or those like next couple of years, because then like I mean up until like the end of that video, like I was like working for Tilt remotely and going to college, like busy enough, or like I don't know, super busy with work and just like I don't know, social stuff and riding. So I was like super busy doing stuff. Yeah, I don't know, it was simple times. I was just enjoying life.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah, it wasn't like so far along, like when you were in college that, because like we would be in California for like 3 months straight over the summer. So I guess it was still sort of a period of time where none of us had any responsibilities.
Yeah, responsibility is a good thing. I was thinking about that a lot just in thinking about this video and just like how responsibility, especially in like my work, like my responsibilities for working in scootering affected like my relationship with scootering. Yeah, I mean, I didn't have too many responsibilities besides like, you know, college work, which I don't know. I really enjoyed my work and stuff, so it wasn't like crazy pressure. And then like my work and scootering, which I loved doing all that stuff. So, you know, I was busy.
So when the video came out, were you sort of aware that this was the last major project you would work on?
I probably, if you had asked me that, I'd be like, no, it's not. But I also knew like this was like so much footage. It was like, dude, it takes so long to like accumulate this much footage. especially with my relationship with scootering, where it was like I was mostly like me bringing my camera around, like bugging my friends to film me. Yeah, it's like you don't have that much time. Like how can you spend that much time with like, people? So I knew that I probably wouldn't be or have like this much, like sitting on this much footage ever again. That being said, I was continuing filming like after this. On a trip to Seattle, I filmed a bunch of clips, and I don't know. There was some trips I went on that like I was filming and like trying to get some clips, but I don't know.
I mean, regardless of if this is the last thing you make or whatever, I'm just glad that you actually made some sort of like concrete. I mean, you had video parts before this, and you had clips and like montages and stuff, but I feel like this was really like the major sort of like concrete thing, like all your writing summed up in one. And I'm just glad like you actually made it at that time. Were you aware of sort of the response it got after it came out, like throughout the years? I mean, I talked about this, it's going to be in the intro of this podcast, but I talked about, I always rate video parts, like if it's a really good video part, whenever I'm on scooter trips and there's just like a bunch of guys in front of like a smart TV with access to YouTube, it's like, what video parts do you search? You know what I mean? And what does like everybody think of to search? And like this video part is one of the ones that is always watched. So were you like aware of the impact it had, or did you just kind of like put it out and I don't know?
Yeah, I mean, I was in communication with enough like scooter people where it's like we all like showed each other clips all the time. Like pretty much all my friends had seen like most of this footage at this point. So I mean, I knew like, I mean, I was stoked on this video for sure. And Tyler definitely hits me up every now and then, being like, "Yo, we're watching your part" and stuff like that. So he doesn't make it a mystery by any means. But no, I mean, I can't know everyone's reactions, but I appreciate the compliments.
If this is the last major thing you do in scootering, are you satisfied with that portion of your life, and are you satisfied with this video to sort of say like, this is a summary of my scootering?
Yeah, I mean, that obviously is a tough question. Yeah, I mean, I'd be psyched on it. I've been trying to not think about things in such like a binary fashion, like yes, happy, no, not happy, like this is the end, this is the not, like you quit scootering, like, and you are a scooter, or like, I mean, I still ride now and then. It's not like this is like the I don't know, the signing off of my career or anything. So I try not to think about it like that. But yeah, I mean, if this was the last big video I ever did, I'd be psyched on it, right? I gotta be.
Yeah.
No, I'm bummed on it. It's the last thing I'm bummed. I guess.
I'm ready to start the video part.
Yeah, this will be interesting. So I gotta go like back and forth.
Yeah, we gotta synchronize.
Yeah. All right, we'll synchronize.
But I had a question about the first clip. I remember the first time I ever saw this video part, and like you do the first maneuver and you're like, okay, and then you like are coming up to that second bar, and I was like, what is he doing? Like, is he gonna run into that? Like, what's gonna happen? And then you jumped on top of it. I was like, how did you even like think of that? You know what I mean? Like, did you just go there and be like, oh yeah, so I'll just like jump stall on top of this thing?
No,
like...
dude, no. That isn't what happened. Well, so this street was on my way to my house in Eugene, Oregon. So I drove and walked and biked and scootered by this like all the time, and it was just like two bumped bars, like facing each other. So I always thought it'd be really sick, just like hopping one like a normal bumped bar and then hopping the other like reverse style, and that's what I was trying, but didn't really end up working out. And I was like, oh, this is kind of like goofy, I'll make it an intro clip.
Yeah, I always thought that was deliberate, like the stall over? I didn't.
Pretty much not. I mean, like, it's not what I went to the spot for. Obviously, I didn't, like, mistakenly do that. Like,
Do you really think it was possible to jump over that? Like, do you think somebody could do that? It looked like not even close to being possible.
there's definitely, yeah, definitely possible. I'm not an insane person, and I thought I could do it, so. Yeah, so it can definitely be done. I guess on to clip 2.
And that's in Chicago.
Yeah, that was in Chicago. I think that was, like, on it in the summer when a bunch of tilt people were in town. I think you were there. I'm not entirely sure who filmed that. It might have been Jordan.
That school is like the famous Chicago school that used to have angle iron on all the ledges, and that was in the backside, and we were all riding it. And then, like, it was just you and Jordan over there, and we're like, where are they? And then we went to the front, like, where you guys were, and you were just filming that. And I was like, oh, I never even saw this thing.
Yeah, that spot was really cool. I think that was the day when you critiqued my filming, too. Do you remember?
No.
Yeah, I remember that. That was pretty funny. I was like, I was filming Jordan, and apparently I was doing a bad job, so you took over. And I was pretty hurt. I was like, dude, I was filming it well. I was trying this new technique of filming more in front of the person, so like, you know, you're like looking at them, and you're like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm filming. You're like, all right, give me that. So you took over.
Yeah, I do remember filming Jordan there. I can't exactly remember what he did. I feel like he did something with like a 3-whip.
Yeah, he did something with a 3-whip and a grind. It was a line. Yeah. I could harken back to the tilt video and find it, but yeah, then the third clip is just a hop over a pole. And that was like pretty much all the Portland footage was before I lived there. So it was all like trips from Eugene to Portland, meeting up with Evan or Chase or both of them. And so yeah, Evan pretty much like knew like all these spots. And yeah, it's just like funny looking back on it. That's just like a regular Mac station outside the convention center. And I had no idea where I was at that time. It was just like Evan took me to the spot, and this is cool, like I'll do it.
Yeah, Tyler actually told me that Evan is living out of a Sprinter van now.
Yeah, converted Sprinter van. He did like a crazy job on it. I always tell the story. I don't want to say the story of Evan, but like he never went to college. He like started working for Phoenix right after high school, then like ended up working for this print shop. And I always remember like thinking like, man, he like should have gone to college. Like college is sweet. That's what like people do, right? And like, but like he was just like saving up and ended up converting this Sprinter van into this like awesome thing, and now he's traveling the country with his girlfriend, like with no responsibilities.
And also no
student debt, yeah. So
yeah.
who's the one laughing now? Like everyone, you know, that I went to school with is like, what the hell am I doing now? So
he was ahead of his time.
He's ahead of his time, yeah. He's an outlaw. Evan's an awesome dude. So cool. The next clip is at the Creston like high school in Portland. Another trip to Portland.
Yeah, I actually went to the school this summer.
Nice. Yeah, there's so many. I have 3 clips at this school.
Your hat like almost fell off. It was like just like hovering on your
on the hurricane clip.
Yeah.
And where Chase says he's just like, yo, there's a car. Good clip. Those rails are crazy. There's another like really long one too. I don't know what park that's called. Some park in southeast Portland. All right, next clip is kind of interesting. This is at Fort Miley, just a back clip. It's not a very cool trick, but it was filmed by Jeff Moroz, and this was on a road trip that we took. This was like me returning to Oregon after having been in Mokina for the summer, I guess. And Jeff, like, who was still in high school, I think at the time, was just like, yo, I'll like come back to school with you. So we road tripped, from Chicago to Oregon, but ended up staying in San Francisco for a little while. I think we also went through like Salt Lake. But San Francisco is sweet. We stayed with my buddy from school. he didn't like know how to drive stick either, so I like drove the entire way, and he just like sat in the passenger seat and hung out for countless hours. Have you talked to him in a while?
I actually like whenever so the last time I was in Chicago for the street jam, I saw him, and I've seen him other times before that. It's weird. He's all like tall and his voice is deep and stuff. But he still rides. I think he wasn't for a while there, but he started this like clothing company with a couple other dudes from Chicago, and they're riding.
Sweet. What's the company called?
It's called Azimuth. I don't know how to spell it.
The reference plane for an azimuth is typically true north, measured as a 0-degree azimuth, so that is like from Earth. Moving on, this next clip is at the Jeff Kerouac Memorial in Lowell, filmed by Dennis. It's crazy to think that this is the first clip filmed by Dennis, or maybe the first one was filmed by Dennis, because Dennis pretty much has filmed like, I don't know, all of my footage. So this must have been a time when I was back in Massachusetts for the summer, and this spot is awesome. I don't know, I've been there a ton of times. I'm sure Dennis and other folks have been there way more than I, but pretty much any time we went to Lowell, we like rode there or like started there.
Yeah, people continue to ride here, like just currently, like in all the recent Speak full lengths, like multiple people have clips here. It's just funny. Like I remember, do you remember the one time I came and visited you and it rained for like an entire week straight?
Yeah, but we did get, I think we got like 15 minutes here while it was dry. And I think you were trying like an overcrooked like downside whip on one of those ledges. I mean, that spot is so good. There's like curved marble ledges wrapped in steel. And you never get kicked out. Yeah, the next clip is another clip in Lowell. It's like right next to the Jeff Kerouac Memorial, also filmed by Dennis. I think I filmed a few clips that day. A lot of these clips were just filmed like when I was back home in Massachusetts, because I would be riding with Dennis and he's a good filmer. And in Oregon, I'm trying to think of, like, besides Evan, who at the time lived in Portland, which was 2 hours away from where I lived, I didn't really have anyone that filmed me. It's weird to think about it like that. You know, when I came home, A, it was the summer, and B, Dennis was, you know, it was who I was riding with, so I got a ton of clips. I think, like, a lot of these clips were probably, like, the last clips I filmed. Probably from being home during a summer, and then also Dennis made a trip out to Oregon for like a week, and we filmed a ton, and that was like kind of like the last of the footage. And it's funny looking back because it's like totally different. I was like filming more lines and just like simpler stuff. I think that's kind of when I got just like better, when like I stopped like learning tricks and stuff, and I was just like riding. I was like just like thinking more about what I could do with spots and just like enjoying riding, and clips just like started coming like a lot easier, and like the clips were way better because I don't know, like what we were talking about before, like instead of them being like trick clips, they were like clips, you know. Yeah, that's when I was like really just like enjoying riding, and you can see it in the footage. Yeah, classic example of the other kind of clip is like this next clip where it's just like some board slide whip, just a trick. But that is also in Portland, filmed by Evan, yeah, at some Max station. This clip is right next to the Pepperell, Massachusetts skate park. That was a good 540. Gotta have 540s.
Yeah, that was a surprising one. It was like, since it was so quick, you just landed the hop, and then it was just like a misty flip out. Like
I wish
just
it wasn't
ripping
misty
it.
flip. If I could misty flip on a scooter, I probably would have done it there.
I don't even know what is a misty, like a 540 backflip? Is that what it is?
Front flip, but it'd be like it's like an off axis. Like a misty 540 would be like an off axis, like front flip 180. Like misty is forward, rodeo is backwards.
Yeah, I forgot you're the trampoline god.
Yeah. Hey, got any other questions about flips? target them towards me. Next clip. Yeah, this is another probably from that summer, towards the end of filming, or the summer before, where I was just like enjoying riding. It was also a double heel whip, which I was probably really psyched on at the time. That's in Chinatown, in Boston. That's pretty cool. There's a bunch of dudes playing chess like all around.
Yeah, I always wondered about this clip. I was like, I mean, I obviously knew it was in some Chinatown somewhere in America, but I was like, where is this? Like, I've never seen anybody ride it or anything.
I think it's in a lot of skate videos. It's Chinatown in Boston, and I actually walk by this place a lot nowadays. Yeah, it's a sweet spot, and it was looking good. It was looking good that day. The sun was out. A lot of people playing chess. A lot of people walking around, which might have been frustrating, but it was cool. You can see like a lot of people were out. And I was still rocking those Phoenix bars. This was when Phoenix was still a force. Evan would always hook me with the Phoenix bars when I visited him. I remember one day I like went in to work with him, and like I packaged like a bunch of decks and stuff and like headsets. I was like shrink wrapping stuff. And I remember I was like, okay, and I was just kind of hanging out, you know, Evan was doing his work. I was, you know, shrink wrapping decks and stuff. Like, you know, so many riders would do that, like, no problem, like at the Proto shop, like for free. You know, if everyone's hanging out, it's like, yeah, I'll shrink wrap your decks, whatever. It's like you almost feel privileged doing it. But I asked like Tom Floyd after, I was like, hey, so I like shrink wrapped a bunch of decks. Can I like have some bars? And he was like, I think he was kind of like reluctant to say yes. Evan would always hook it up. I would always have to like bring up my car, and like we would like throw the bars in my trunk, and like I would like drive away like right at the end of right at the end of his shift. Moving on, just another regular clip, doing a manual in Portland, and then another fakie manual in at Fort Miley, also probably filmed by Jeff or Zach.
I think it's funny that you did that because Steadman did it front side the other way, I believe.
Oh, out of the bank? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think's better, in or out?
I think in.
Ooh.
I like. But yours was done way later than when he did it. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, probably. Well, I'm not very good at faking manual, so I was just hyped.
Yeah. Well, I remember when he did it. It was like, it was incredible. Like, it was like, how could he possibly fakie manual like this 4 foot long platform,
like out of a bank, like not even like a hop in. Yeah, but no, he kills him.
Okay, so I have a story about this next clip. I don't know if you remember it. Do you remember the motorcycle cops?
No.
Okay, well, I guess I'll tell it to you and everybody. But so this spot is like the classic LA River spot that you can go to on the weekdays, and there's rails cut off so you can grind across it. So we got there, and there was a bunch of motorcycle cops with like an obstacle course.
Set right.
Down the river, and they were like kind of close, and we were like, man, I bet they're gonna like kick us out. We just went there, and they never kicked us out. So we're riding, and I hear this like dude screaming, and I look over, and one of the guys that's like training on the obstacle course of like cones is he completely dropped the motorcycle, and it's on its side, and he's trying to pick it back up, and there's like a whole group of us, and we're all just looking at him, and you can tell that he's so embarrassed. Like, he sees us like looking at him and laughing, and then his like the guy training him is just like screaming at him, and he was probably so bummed.
all the other lieutenants laughing at him. No, I mean, it was good. I think that was with you and Elmer and maybe Alex. Who else was that with?
Yeah, I know Elmer was there. Maybe Greg was there.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, and that was the big summer, which I definitely got talked about in previous episodes, but a transformative time, I think, is what Jackson referred to it as, and it's definitely true. Yeah, this next clip is filmed on a DSLR. So I think I tried to write. I think I did a good job of writing who filmed like everything in the credits. So I think this might have been Ryan Hodgden. So yeah, this is in the Boston Commons. This is a sweet spot. I think I've been there with you.
Literally the only place I've ever ridden in Massachusetts was the Jack Kerouac Memorial. Like, we did not, it was just raining every single day. Yeah.
Well, I've definitely been here with a lot of people, at least like from New York, and I think it's been in other clips. Yeah, you got to ride it when it's nice enough, but that fountain is not filled.
Yeah, that's another one. I think like a lot of these spots in Boston, I've never recognized. Like, I've never seen anybody else ride them. Like, where is this, you know?
Yeah, I feel like Boston spots don't get very much representation. Like, you'll see them a lot from like New York people, I guess, who will like take one trip to Boston, and maybe that's because the spots aren't like, there's not as many good spots, but I enjoy riding Boston. I rode with Dennis recently and went to like this crazy spot that you've probably seen. I think it's like called, or a lot of people call it like Planets.
Oh, is that at like an apartment complex?
Yeah, you know of it.
Yeah, I've seen photos of that. That spot does look crazy. I remember George Lewis told me that, like, if I went there, I would just get robbed.
I mean, honestly, maybe at the time that was true, but Boston has definitely changed a lot, like in the past, like 5-10 years. I mean, it's definitely in the projects, but young kids live in the projects, or what used to be the projects now. There's definitely a lot of like motor scooters getting ripped around, if that's any measure of how the projects were. What's the next clip? Okay, the next clip I was pretty psyched on.
What was it hard to like gauge your speed for this?
No, probably not. Probably, again, like this was that like end of the summer. Like most of these tricks, not trying to sound cocky, but like a lot of them like weren't that hard. Like I'm sure that only like that didn't take more than one like try or like commitment. You know, it was just cool. I thought it was just cool. I'm also wearing a T-shirt that John Archer gave me. He gave me this shirt on a tilt trip. We switched. I think I gave him a bamboozle shirt, and he gave me this shirt. So gave me good luck, I guess. Right after I said it, like wasn't a hard trick. But yeah, again, like this was just that time period where I was just having fun. Filmed by Dennis. It's in Lawrence, which is like a town like right next to Andover, where I grew up at the movie theater. Yeah, there's two movie theaters, one on this side of the road and one on the other side of the road. The other one closed down and has been like abandoned. But that was the go-to theater. There's so little for, I don't know, like good like classic spots in just like Andover and the surrounding areas that we would just like end up going to the same spots just because like it made sense. You know, like what we were actually riding there was just like the bank that I 360'd into. You know, like that's what we went there for, which is ridiculous, which maybe was why I was hyped on this clip. Like, oh, this is something new.
It's weird how there's like spots you always end up at when you don't know where to go, but you also don't want to ride that. Like, I remember there was this ledge spot in Columbus. It was like just two perfect ledges in a row, and they're both different heights. And we would always end up there, and then it got knobbed, and I was so hyped because I was like, yes, it got knobbed. Like, we can't go here. We just can't do it.
Yeah. I mean, this was like, you know, when I was probably like 19 or something. So, you know, I'd had a car for a long time. But like before I had a car, man, like I would go to the same like shitty spots all the time. Like I would end up at the same place. Like, why was I doing this to myself? I don't know. That's what it was. I would just like ride to the same shitty ass spots. Yeah. All right. So this next clip is also from the big summer, and this was I think like one of the first days, one of the first clips that I filmed there, and I think this was filmed by Jackson. You were there, I think, for this clip. I was definitely stoked on this. I know I was like trying to land it better, but I think it ended up working out pretty okay.
I remember this session was so like, in terms of like the people there, it was sort of this like, just like this all-star. It was like Josh Young, Jackson, Aaron Branson, Tyler, you, Alex Steadman, me, I think that's it. Yeah, I remember that we spent almost the entire day at this place because like every single person filmed.
Yeah, everyone got a clip. Yeah, I know, it was insane, dude. I think I was like experiencing serious heat exhaustion. Like we were there forever. No one had eaten. There were so many spots, and it was awesome.
Well, do you know that this was the same day as the Mount Baldy full pipe?
No way.
Yeah, it was the same day. Like the story I told in Tyler's podcast about like us and the snakes in the tunnel. This was the same day because this is right by Mount Baldy.
After it?
Yeah.
What? That's sick. What a good day. I think too. I think I might have been the last person to get a clip too. I remember I was probably just like timid. You know, when I got there, I think people had been there for a while, like a few weeks. You know, everyone had their routine, and I was like, oh yeah, could I like get a clip? You know, like asking like Jackson, who I probably like didn't know. You know, I was like, can you like film me? Man, that's how always filming. You just gotta like pick out like who's gonna film me, like, you know, because no one really wants to film. I mean, that's not true, but like pretty much true. Totally sucks to get like picked out at a friend group, like, yo, you want to film me? And like everyone else gets to hang out and chill, and you're just like, this probably took like an hour and a half in like the LA heat.
It's kind of cool now. There's a couple people, like there's this dude Richard Hark, he's from Chicago, and he like really wants to film. Like that's like his thing.
His friends are lucky.
Yeah, I know. It's cool. Like I went on a trip recently with him, and he was just filming the whole time. He's like, what do you want to do? Like, I'm ready. I was like, what?
And you can tell this was definitely at the beginning of filming, because I'm like riding like a district deck, and I think by the end of this summer I had like your old deck. I think I sniped that guy from you. So
yeah, it was that like PROTO deck that had so many speed holes in it. It was like a honeycomb deck platform.
It was so sick, or at least I was hyped on it. Another clip, probably from that same day, as the Lawrence Cinema clip. I think I was just hyped on 3 whips, so I was like, I'll just do a 3 whip and hop this thing. And that's another case where it's like, this is something I've seen like forever. And then I came back home, and I was like, oh, I can actually like hop this, even though I didn't really hop it. But yeah, I mean, this is on Main Street in Andover. I pass this every time I get off the highway and go back to my house. The next clip is the biggest handrail I've ever done. I could probably safely say ever will do, but I won't. This is another one of those clips. I don't even know where this is in Portland. Evan probably just took me there. I don't know. This was when I was like on a mission to film. You know, this is, I guess, you know, when you said like, did you have an idea for this video? It's like, here's where I was like stacking clips. You know, I was like, I just want to like get tricks and like hard ones on video. I don't even know why I put that in there.
The way it was filmed, and I think like the way you did it, it looked like you were going so fast when you did it. I remember or even watching it now, it's like you're going so fast at it that I'm surprised you didn't just like grind 3 inches at the bottom, but you grinded the whole thing.
Dude, I honestly I just like didn't know what I was doing. It was like by far the biggest handrail I've ever done. So yeah, I totally didn't know what I was doing. Cool, next clip. Oh, this is also at Creston School.
Oh yeah, is this like in the back or something?
It's like the side or something. I mean, whatever direction it is. Because there's also like the one of the last clips, that bumped bar is also there. Next clip was the back crook, which I'm sure I was like, oh, I need to have one of these in my video card. And I think too, that was like one of those first days in California. I had just learned that trick, and like we showed up to this spot and like, you know, had like the full production, you know, kit going, and I knew that this was like probably the best spot I would see to like do this trick, and I was like, I guess I gotta do it.
Yeah, I remember being there with everyone, and like when you landed it, like everybody was just like in awe. Like I think that was like pretty revolutionary for that time. It's like, oh my, it was just one of those things that until somebody does it, you're like, oh, like yeah, I could do that like 4 inches like on a flat ledge.
I guess it was cool. But again, it's like one of those things, it's just a trick. So it's like, this doesn't date well, I'd say. I know, people can like send these for like 20 feet, no problem now. So
yeah, but I feel like this and maybe a couple other clips at the time sort of made people realize that they actually could do it, and they started trying it. You know what I mean? Like there needs to be that first evidence. Like, do you remember back nose blunts? Like people, like Isaac's filmed a clip where he back nose blunted like 10 feet, like a real back. And a few years ago, that like wasn't an option, you know?
Dude, I still have footage from some trip to Colorado. I don't know if I ever came out with that, but he like 270 nose blunted this ledge and like slid it for like 10 feet, maybe like 8 feet. It was like a full box, but he like 270'd at the beginning and slid the whole thing. And I was like, it's obviously obnoxious to like tell people to like do a trick, but I feel like Isaac was always down or like loved it. It's like, yo, like you should 270 nose blunt this ledge. And he just like goes for it, which is sick. I really respect that. Especially from like filmers or like, I guess like company owners. It's like getting directions like sucks, but Isaac like soaked it up. Whose lights and generator were those?
I want to say they were Tilt's, but like Tyler just had them. Like,
true, yeah.
Because at the time, like California was just kind of the place to be in scootering, so Tilt made so many trips out there. I think they kind of just left them with Tyler, and then Tyler could use them whenever.
That was such a good session. What else happened that night? What other tricks?
I want to say Aaron is the only other person that rode that spot.
What did he do? Did he like hurricane it or something?
Yeah, I think so.
Another just clip towards the end of filming where I was just jamming, I guess. I always thought it'd be really sick to build like put cement like over the rough bricks and make like a really sick DIY spot. So some cinder block ledge at the top. But alas, I did not, so we're stuck with a clip of me riding down some bricks. Next clip, also in Chicago, Jeff or Kirk. I think this is, we were filming the like Chicago Scrambles at this point, and this was something I just kept. One of these nights it might have been this night or like another night, I like really messed up my leg trying to grind this rail, and just like took some like warm up try or whatever. The deck of my scooter like hit the rail, came back, hit me in the leg, and at first I was like, it's just like, okay, it's like a shinner, you're all right. But it like just got like worse and worse to the point that I couldn't like move my leg. I also had to get a ride home to Kirk, and I remember like thinking that I could stay at his house or like asking, but I don't think I like communicated it well enough or something. We got to his house and he was like, he's still living with his parents, and I was like, some like hurt, like sweaty dude. And I was like, so could I like stay here? And he's like, nah. And then I think I like sat in my car like in Chicago, and like granted I was living in Mokina, which is, like 45 minutes away, which isn't that bad. But I was like in like downtown Chicago, it was like 11 o'clock and I like couldn't drive my car. And I just like sat there for like 2 hours until like I could like muster the strength to like put my clutch pedal down.
Yeah, I remember when those Chicago Scramble videos started coming out. It was so different. Those were like really refreshing to see.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it all kind of goes into that same sort of like we were just having fun category, and you can definitely see it. I mean, I think that's what makes like Instagram clips and stuff so appealing, is it's just like fun. There's like definitely an aspect, or like there's something you can like feel in a clip when people are just like enjoying themselves, and just like the best shit goes down when you got like no responsibilities and you're just like killing it. Which I think, we were like still making videos, and they were like definitely like marketing focused. I shouldn't say marketing focused. They were like, like a marketing product. At that time I was doing like all the marketing and content for Sky High and Tilt. And I was like, this is like the easiest way, to get views and get recognition. Like everyone watches these clips. I can film. We were all like riding together. It's like the whole crew wasn't even there, but it's just like we had enough people. Yeah, so we were still trying to like make like this product that we could, have people watch, but I guess we just tried to have more fun with it. And it worked great too, because we ended up getting a shitload of videos. Like, and they weren't like, we ended up getting a bunch of like not great videos instead of like one big video, which works tremendously well for marketing's sake. Yeah, this next clip is a really cool spot. This is how like all of Eugene looks. It's like weird, concrete. When Dennis came and visited me, I think Dan was here too. This is also at the time when I was making those like Eugene videos. This next clip was probably filmed by Jackson or like Justice. I know he was around then. I don't know if he was filming, but I remember being pretty hyped on like the Hurricane Hard 3. I think that was like a epiphany that like kind of all the like scooter community had. It's like, whoa, you can like lock your wheels up and like do whatever you want out of it. And I feel like people now are like doing the craziest shit out of it. But it's crazy to think that like people weren't doing that at a certain point. So it's like I had to have one of those. And I remember that took a while. Next clip is a front board slide. Why did I put that in? I don't know. That was on a tilt trip. I think like all like the Attic people were there too. That was like post SD.
Yeah, I remember this like everybody was filming at a rail next to it. Like I remember Erik and ISSAC were filming, and then we were like all packing up, and then all of a sudden you just like you were like coming down this hill and you started to try this, and we're like, oh, Conor's scootering, and then we like carried the lights over there, and then you just kind of like did it like I think within like the next couple tries.
I was probably just hyped on front board slides. This next clip is sweet.
The construction spot?
Yeah, temporary spot. Gotta hit it when it's there. This I'd keep. Now that I'm watching it again, I'm considering which ones to keep and not keep for the re-edit.
Was that a like strip of yellow? Was that like those like rumble strip things?
Yeah.
God, I don't know how you... Those suck. I don't know how you like rode over it. Just monster truck it.
Yeah, monster truck it. Do what you gotta do. I mean, the spot was made to do a trick on, so I had to, Oh yeah, this is a cool clip. I think this is filmed by Dennis, but I know Dan was there too.
This is like, I remember seeing this for the first time, and every time I see it, I'm like, I just want to ride this spot so bad. Like, it looks amazing.
Yeah, that's like that classic like Eugene spot though. It looks like this big like chunky concrete architecture.
It's so incredibly rare too. It's like a bump to manual pad. It's like a bump to bar, but it's a manual pad. I've literally never seen anything like that before.
Yeah, people could do crazy shit on it, I'm sure. I think Dan got a photo that day too. He like scooter fakied it, and it was sick. Cool. This is an early clip. I think this is from my first trip to Chicago. I think this is when. Yeah, this was when me and Dennis went to the Street Jam. Just like me and Dennis drove. I think in one day, which is an 18-hour drive to Chicago to go to the Street Jam, and it was sweet. And I met Colin there, and I think like Tyler, had like talked to Colin. Whoever was doing the design stuff before had left. Do you remember who that was? And I think she quit, and so they needed another designer. Where were they staying? It might have been Jeff's house. I was maybe like hanging out at Jeff's parents' house, and Colin ended up coming. I think we were just like playing video games and stuff, and I just like had some casual conversation with him, and he's like, "Hey, do you want to like come into Tilt tomorrow?" And I kind of like knew that they needed a designer, and I was like, "Dude, oh my god, it'd be my dream job, like I gotta do this." Yeah, I went to Tilt, and he like handed me this paper It was like, here would be like all your responsibilities. Like, do you think you could do this? And it was like, make logos, like edit videos, like make video titles, whatever. And I was like, you know, like inside I was like, yeah, it's like what I've done my whole life, like with all this stuff. And I think at that point I had like started Hooks and Eyes and stuff. So I was like, you know, it was like make a website. I was like, dude, yeah, this is me, like 100%. And so yeah, I ended up taking the job and went back home for like 1 week to like pack up my shit, and then like came back to Chicago.
Yeah, I remember this spot though, the like channel spot. I've ridden it once, and then I remember like a couple years later we went back and it was just completely gone. Like,
no way.
We thought we were at the wrong place. Like, there was no evidence of it ever being there.
The next spot is a hop. I think there is a photo of Brandon Westgate ollieing this spot. The next clip is, what is the name of that school? Glen Haven. There's a skate park there. It's in Portland. Riding a Phoenix setup, dude.
That's a pretty classic Portland spot.
Yeah, that spot's super sweet. Cool, we're getting to the end here. This is another clip in, or at the Creston School. Man, look at Evan, dude. So funny.
I've never met Evan in person.
No way.
Yeah.
Have you been in the same place, just not said what's up?
No. I've never.
No way.
Because I would never be in the Northwest, you know, like.
Yeah, but he would come to SD, dude. No, you've been in the same place, dude. You've been to the same SDs.
Well, then maybe I just like didn't know it was him then.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, he would have had to been there. If not, that's crazy. Cool, last clip. Sick. This was a fun clip. I think we went to the spot like a few days before this, like everybody, you included, and I think like Alex might have filmed a clip. Or I know like Alex has filmed the clip here. He's got to have. And this was a day that I don't know what people were doing, but me and Isaac borrowed, or me, Isaac, Jordan, and who else? Was it? Were you here?
Yeah, no, I remember you guys, like, I think everybody was just in LA for so long, like over the entire summer, that it was one of those days that nobody wanted to scooter. But I think you guys like wanted to scooter because you hadn't been there as long. Yeah,
so we borrowed Tyler's car. It was like Camry or whatever, and just like drove around LA. I remember like we were looking at that one spot map and like printed out like all these spots, you know, like preloaded. Had like a whole plan. Went back to this spot. I think I filmed Isaac doing like a 720 off of one of these bumps this day, and it was sick. I remember too, dude, like we were out super late. I think my phone died, and you know, none of us knew where the hell we were. We kind of like, you know, so long as we could get on the like 5, like we could probably get back home. But we were like driving away from one spot, and it was probably like 2 or 3 in the morning at this point. I don't know what we were doing. So we're like driving home and don't know where we are. My phone's dead, and all of a sudden we get pulled over, and I'm like freaking out. And it's like, because I was the one driving. I was like the only one who was like 18. I think I was 18, and everyone else was like 16 and 17. Isaac probably was like 13. I don't even know. And we get pulled over. I'm like, shit, like what are we doing wrong? And we probably, I don't even know, probably had weed on us or something. We get pulled over, and the cop's like, yo, do you know where you are? I'm like, no, I don't. I would actually like love some help. It's like, you're in Inglewood, like you should not be here right now. I was like, okay. He's like, yeah, like if you're seen, like you're gonna get like shot or something like that, like being like really over dramatic. I was like, all right. He's like, can you get me back to the 5? And he like escorted us back to the 5. He like drove in front of us, like I think with his lights on, and like we followed him until we got onto the 5.
Damn, I either didn't know that or I forgot it.
Yeah, I remember getting home and just being like, yo, like, what the fuck? We were in Inglewood. I don't know how gnarly it actually was, but that cop apparently thought it was.
Did you know this spot is a skate park now?
Really?
It's kind of funny, like in LA, you know that spot that was like the white banks that were like manual pads? And you could gap from one corner of the bank to the other corner. It was like a super, like I had clips there, Alex had clips there, Tyler double whipped between the two banks. They were like elevated banks, so at the bottom you had to hop onto the bank. So it was like an up.
Oh
manual pad.
yeah. Classic.
Yeah, so it's like it's weird. Like in LA, if there's like a spot at a park that's just so incredibly blown out, it just like it's the thing that happens. They're like, oh, you guys ride here? Well, we'll build a skate park here, and then you like won't ride the spot anymore. So they, so it like happened with that white manual pad spot, and then it happened with this spot too.
I don't know if that's good or bad, but cool. Well, that's it. End of the video. Got some creds.
What's the font?
Dude, the font is something I traced over. It's called like Mini 7 or something. It's just like it's like pixel font, you know? But yeah, it's just like, you know, squares. I don't know why I picked that. I must have thought it was cute. That was like when, you know, like hand lettering was like, you know, all on the up and up. So it just made sense to like just take some font and trace it.
All right. Is there anything else you want to talk about or say about it?
No, I think that's it. I mean, I'm stoked people like it. Looking back on it now, you know, it's a little stale, but.
All right. Well, thanks for sitting through this extremely precise analyzation of your footage.
Yeah. Thanks for the interest. Glad I could chat. It was cool.
All right, that's it for Conor Davidson on his Sovereign Arbor part. Big thanks to Ben Bursell for the graphic design and music for this show. Also, huge thanks to Conor. I texted him a big, long explanation about the show without talking to him for an extremely long time, asking him to do it, and he immediately texted back like, yeah, of course, and we arranged it a couple of days later. So it just goes to show that you can make extremely long-lasting, meaningful friendships through scootering. So I was really glad that he agreed to do this, because I'm sure everybody was having questions about this video part since it came out like 3 years ago. So hopefully I want to try more sort of like experiments with this podcast. I definitely like doing this video part review sort of format, but I also want to try different things. Maybe I was thinking a live podcast, not in the sense of live streaming, but recording it live, actually being with the people I'm recording and maybe having multiple guests on the show at one time. I think that could be interesting. But yeah, so I'm just going to keep thinking about it and trying to push, and also doing the traditional episodes like I have been doing, just sort of like chronological about scooter riders' lives, because that is still important in some aspects. So I would advise to go watch Conor's Sovereign Arbor part and just really absorb it, because at first glance I don't know, it might seem like a normal scooter video, but I really think there's a lot of underlying concepts about it that are pretty revolutionary. So that's it for episode 8. I will see you on the last Friday of next month for episode 9. See ya.